Hello, everyone. Welcome to Meticulous Talks on September 7th, 2024. I'm Chris, of course.
Damn Hithroc.
How was your con, Hithroc?
That was alright.
All right.
The
Won a
highlight
big
for me. No. Hold on. The highlight for me is I got my pips signed.
Okay. Shows where your priorities at. I think those are good priorities, actually.
Oh yeah, I guess I won the thing somehow.
Welcome to Meticulous Talks' exclusive interview with this year's Continental Champion. Yeah, it was a weird tournament, I think.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected me to win. Let's just put it this way. Like, I think if you would have asked anyone, including me, I would not guess, or nobody would guess that my deck would end up in top one.
Mm-hmm. You were fifth seed out of Swiss.
Yes.
So top 8 was an underdog match. Just by seeding. Never mind the actual decks. Top 4 was, and then final was as well because Minty was third seed. Yeah.
I mean, the funniest part is, like, the 3 losses I have in Swiss. 2 of them are to the decks that I played against in the Top Cat, because one of the losses is against GP and another one against Bugle. I'm pretty sure. I think I played against Bugle. Definitely against GP.
I know you played against GP. I guess I do have the results here.
I played against GP, Instagram. That's my second loss. I'm pretty sure I played against Bugle too. But maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken.
GP, and then 6-5 would be... That would be Bugle. And then your loss in the last round... Oh, that could have also been Bugle. So you had a loss to... Did you play Pages in the Swiss?
No.
Okay, yeah. So your losses were Instagram, Bugle, and GP. Yeah.
Yep. Ha! I remember correctly. It was 2 weeks ago, like forever ago.
Yeah. It was...
But yeah.
Wait, was it only 2 weeks ago? I guess it was.
Doesn't feel like 2 weeks.
Doesn't feel like 2 weeks. It's because it was last month. It is all of a sudden... Well, it's not fall yet, but basically. But yeah, it was a rather I'm gonna say slow meta. Felt like a lot of control decks. Very few farm decks.
There's like 2 of them.
So there was Smithers with Misty. There was Instagram with Yuna. And I think it kind of depends how you categorize Sokol's deck. Yeah, actually, it's not. Well, there's there are 6 epics in it, but
I think I played against Sokol round 1, and I would say it's not really a farm deck. It's more of an aggro.
Sure.
Or not. I don't know. I don't think it's a farm necessarily.
Okay. So that's only 2 then, which is pretty low as far as Continentals usually goes.
Although he does have Troublemaker cards. So I don't know. It's one of those, too.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, in our top 8, we've got you, Minty, Pages. A fair number of decks I think would be like inarguably control decks.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that GP's deck is also a control deck.
I have it in my spreadsheet as a control deck, yes.
Yeah. Bugles is more mid-rangey, but GPs is more controlling, even
Mhm.
though it's kind of the same core of the deck.
So yeah, that means our top 8 is 4 control decks, 2 mid-range decks. I'm counting Cadence as mid-range because of the way she works these days. And 1 farm and 1 aggro list.
Yeah. I say that's diverse enough. The meta is perfect.
I mean, I have been waiting for a slower meta for a while, honestly.
Yes.
I think it's
Yes.
good to have some of it around. Yes.
Yeah. We have had very fast metas for a huge chunks of time, what it feels like at least. Like many years. Even recent metas, like if you I don't remember what the results of the previous Continentals were, but like last year felt like Royal Tudor era, right? And even that is not really like it's not a slow deck, I think. Well, it's slow in a sense that it took forever to process, but I don't think it was a hard control slow.
No. Yeah. Last Continentals was Celestia, Bugle's Hats combo in second, Pancake, and Thorax, and then yeah, lots of Celestia. Yeah.
Yeah, and Thorax was everywhere. Like, yeah, I like this meta. Things are much slower. Control exists. It's nice. I know aggro players might not agree with that stance, but they've had their time.
Yeah. Yeah. The control players spent, as you say, a year or so, maybe more than that, being like, oh, I guess it's nice enough. But wouldn't it be nicer if control decks were around a bit more? Like, by all means, Sim, print some more aggro support in a supplement or whatever. But this meta is fine. No need to change it too much right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I had to point, maybe that's affected by maybe my opinion affected by some of the opinions that I've heard, but like, there's really, it's kind of the same as Control actually, but there's really no like really good aggro main right now. If you think about it, there's Flight Instructor, but she's kind of hard to use, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because like you need specific powers, a lot of math. There's no easy aggro where you don't need to think too much, like with Thorax.
Yeah.
There's the nerfed Fluttershy, but that's it. And the new set did not bring us like the aggro deck in top 8 runs Hitch, which is not really like the main by itself is not aggro.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I think control is in a similar position actually, which is funny.
I mean, it's not nothing. Like I when we get to Minty's deck, I'll say like
Okay, we have Chrysalis,
yeah,
but like that's it.
well, yeah.
That's my point. Like aggro has Flight Instructor, and that's it. And control has Chrysalis, and that's it. But Chrysalis is much easier to use. You just play her, and she does things. You don't need to even build around her necessarily, other than you have to play white.
And I think in the current day and age, you need to run that starting problem that refunds you all your AT.
Oh yes, absolutely. That problem makes Chrysalis actually viable. I think the Chrysalis deck. I attribute Chrysalis's deck high standing to that problem.
It certainly
Because
helps.
it is essentially pay one to Chrysalis becomes pay one to flip main with her ability. That's great. Like before, the counterplay was to just play 3 cards and then it costs them a ton of AT to flip again. You buy yourself a lot of time, but now it's just 1 AT to flip essentially, and like sometimes it's not even worth it to think about trying to unflip Chrysalis because like costs nothing out for them to 180 to flip back. So
Yeah. Yeah.
of course they have to protect that problem, but it's a control deck. It protects problems.
And there was, I guess, not a whole lot of pink running around. Well, except for you, but you don't. Do you have Comet in your deck or not? You do, right?
I do have Comet, yes.
Yeah.
It's my anti-troublemaker tool, and also my deck loves when people have stuff at home.
Right.
So that's why Comet is there. Those two reasons.
Sure. But yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yes.
Let us start. You brought up Hitch, and I thought, oh, that'd be a perfect segue into our first deck. But then we went past it. Starting from the top 8. Hitch, played by a player we are also wonderfully happy to see again. Goes by the name of Pinkie Pie. And played his way into the top 8.
Yeah. This deck looks familiar, I would say.
I see a lot of cards here that I'm used to seeing before, yes. Different main, though.
Different main, by necessity almost.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Thorax was around, this deck would definitely run Thorax.
Yeah.
But thankfully Thorax is not around.
I do second that sentiment, I think. That was another thing that actually stood out to me when I was compiling this. I feel like there's a lot of, and maybe we're only going to see some of them in the top 8. I feel like there's a lot of monocolored decks in this tournament, actually, too.
Yeah. But for yellow in particular, that's not unusual. But for the other colors, less so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is interesting. I guess one color, you don't have to splash into other colors anymore. Most of the stuff you need is available to any color. But for yellow, that has been true for a long while.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm gonna go back to the tangent of aggro decks need a main.
Okay.
I would actually like if the next generation of aggro decks we had was not yellow. Like, please, just any other colors. Because yellow aggro has been a thing for so long, and like that was the primary aggro colors because we started with blue yellow and then we transitioned into mono yellow, and now we're here.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to, I don't know, blue orange as primary aggro colors. Just something.
It's kind of a weird thing, right? Because, like, I think a little bit of, I don't play Magic, but, like, to some extent, from what I understand, in that game, colors and deck types are, like, kind of fixed, right? Like, there's red aggro is just a thing that's always existed ever and is always present in every set. And yet here,
I think that's just true for red aggro. Like, I think Magic has aggro for other colors too.
Oh, it does.
It's just red aggro is the one you always expect to have, while others depends.
Right.
But I don't know much about Magic either.
Well, like, contrast that with us here saying, like, maybe yellow should do something else, right? Maybe we should have other aggro colors.
Okay, but then, like, if there was any color that should be the aggro color, I think that blue is the more fitting color for that than yellow.
And that's based on what?
That's based on color identity, like to the character. Like, if I was new to the game and you told me, oh, which color corresponds to a character, would you expect Fluttershy to be the aggro color?
Um,
Or if I had to ask you, which of the main six you think be the aggro color? You'd
sure.
probably say Rainbow Dash.
You would. That's fair. That's fair. Based on the word aggression.
Well, more of a style of play, I'm guessing.
But yes, yeah, no. I get you. It's a little interesting, given that this game's a little bit more like we want to get into the weeds of flavor, you know, solving problems and helping ponies and such. Actually, Fluttershy's not bad on that front. Um,
I mean, yes, sure.
but you're right. Aggro means a certain word, and you throw that over to Rainbow Dash in a heartbeat. Yes.
But yeah, back to the deck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, as I said, it seems like our previous list, the Thorax, but changed up a little bit to include new cards, removed what's not legal anymore. Seems good. Made it to the top 8. I unfortunately never played against this deck. Have you?
No, I didn't. Oh no, wait, I did. I did. Right. This was the game that I tied.
Ah,
Uh, shoot. Yeah, I felt like. Well, yeah, It felt a lot like playing against Thorax. It was a lot about holding removal and waiting for Fluttershy or
oh
well, that
yeah.
was the big one.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
Oh yeah,
uh,
good.
have you seen the stack?
I saw the picture. I didn't see the actual thing.
I saw the actual stack because my top 8 game ended very early um, for reasons, and I got to watch another game, and it was I don't remember who was it. Bugle? Yeah, I think it was Bugle.
Yeah.
Bugle versus Panka, and I look over the table and there's like a stack of cards. I think there was like 190 something of them of critters.
198. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what GP says.
it was great. And I find it amazing that even though you have like still didn't win the game.
Well, there's diminishing returns at some point.
Yeah, usually they're above your confront requirements.
Yeah, usually around 10, 15 or so. Usually don't need 3 digits. Um, but yes, legendary moment.
Yeah, that's how exponential growth works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you want to go to the
Sure.
next deck?
Sure. Right, so this is Ivory with Cadence? Yes. I think this is. Look again. I think this is broadly the same cadence list we'd seen, minus the patch.
Oh, there's Comet now, so
Yeah.
minus patch plus patch.
This is actually a fair bit different from the list Elfenfen played. I mean, not in kind of the important stuff, the blue Frighten package is all still there and still precisely as is. Oh. Yeah, Ivory is not playing with Pocket Silverstream. So he's got no resource removal? No, he's got the Winter Zillas instead. Yes, okay. Yeah, so he went that way instead. Sure. Is that actually the only difference?
Yes. Oh, and some card amounts tweaked.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, so I guess not that big of a difference at all.
Elfenfen run easy, and Ivory doesn't. Interesting.
Yeah, just a single copy though. Oh wait.
Yeah. I mean, Bucket for Interzilla makes sense given the meta, you know? You would rather get rid of counter logic completely than to, like, as whoever runs counter logic will be able to remove your buckets fairly easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. It will be. Let's perhaps save the discussion of counter logic till we find a deck that's got it in there. I know it's not going to take very long.
I mean, there's only 3 decks in top 8 that ran it, so.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure, yeah. It's GP, Bugle, and me.
Okay. Well, we'll get to. Oh yeah, GP's the next deck. So.
Oh, nice. Segue, right?
Well, I mean, let's give Ivory a little bit of time in the spotlight here. We talked about Cadence a little bit when we did the HithCon results. Basically the same idea still.
Mm-hmm.
Still Cadence. A little bit slower.
It is a bit slower, yeah. And I think a large part to that is the Frightened package. The Frightened package is slower, but it's just so good and easy to include that you might as well run it still.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're playing pink as well, so you're gonna have disruption either way.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I don't remember. Yes, I did play against Ivory. And well, I thought it was a pretty ridiculous start because he had like two Gallison Silver Streams very early off of his first Frighten or something. Yeah. Whatever.
I don't remember if I played against him. I think I didn't. But I do remember Gallus and Silverstream played on me. Maybe it wasn't in some other game. Or maybe I'm misremembering completely. But yeah. I should play Cadence List someday. It looks fun.
It is fun. There's actually remember I played it for invitationals, back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different ways to navigate it. I feel like, especially now that you've got a little bit more of the Frighten emphasis, it's probably even more interesting to play because you've got paths that run through Misty and Izzy, big turns off Sunny and Argyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, still looks like a super fun deck. And is reasonably well positioned. Well, not reasonably well positioned against some of the other control decks around. But, like, Chrysalis has the somewhat obvious weakness against aggro because you've got cheap cards to play versus attack.
Yeah. Yeah, you just this card doesn't. This deck does not have a lot of like 1-cost cards, but generally
Got
either a
some.
one. Yeah,
Got
some.
Fleetfoot, Pipsqueak, and Misty and Izzy are all 1-cost, and Rush Makeover.
Yeah, and like with 1-cost cards, it's so great against Chrysalis because you only have to pay either extra 1 AT to get them into play, and then don't worry about taxes. So the tax is your opponent loses 1 AT at that point. Or you could just, if you really need that AT, you can just not play the card, let
Yeah.
it be cancelled.
You've
Like,
already.
oh no, my Rush Makeover.
Well, I would say.
Although Rush Makeover is a bad example, I guess.
I've already
Second
got
Pipsqueak.
I've already got a Pipsqueak at home. Just throw this one into the discard pile. Why not?
So yeah. It'd be nice to see a faster deck like this that maybe a little less disruptive but a little faster. Although blue pink, I
I'm a
I
little
want
tired of it.
novel. I want novel aggro colors.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe blue is not the most novel, but maybe like blue orange. Where's the Muffin Mare? You know,
Hmm.
when was the last time we saw blue orange anything?
Oof. Okay. Me. Me. I can probably
We don't
find
have to
this.
answer that right now, but the point is, so long ago you don't remember.
Yeah. Not. It would take me some amount of time to actually look that up. Um. Yeah. Okay. GP's deck is next.
Yeah. I played against this deck a lot over the course of the tournament.
Yeah, you
Way more,
had
way
one,
more than I
two,
would like
three,
to.
4, 5 games. Technically, depending on your definition of the word game.
Okay, we had the Swiss match. That's one. Then game one of top eight. Then game two of top eight. Then the short game, and then the sudden death. So five, yeah. But those two last two are not real games.
Yeah, depending on your definition of the word game. Congratulations, though, for proving out that entire paragraph of the rulebook. It has actually been used and useful now.
Twice.
Well, all the way to sudden death, just the one time.
Yeah, true. So yeah, this deck. Turns out reading Rainbow is actually really good.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, you brought up because I spent a fair amount of time watching your top 8 match. Yeah, yeah. Like, there are a lot of cards in here that kind of draw the eye. Um, a lot of pretty flashy artwork and such, but yeah, I forgot. Reading Rainbow was doing work.
Yeah, it was like it's it's a silent card as you mentioned. It's not. Oh, Fearless is kind of crazy. Gives you AT, frightened stuff. You can portal her, like a lot of cool stuff with Phyllis. But I think like Rainbow Dash is also like a big backbone of this deck that you can't really like. She's there, but she's and the fact that they stack as well. I'm actually not sure why this deck has two copies. I mean, I think it should have three. That's my impression of the card.
Yeah, yeah. That cost reduction is kind of crazy. Uh,
5 card change limit.
okay. So effectively, you're saying it should have 3 copies in it. Yes.
Did you not have Reading Rainbow in the original list? Where's the sim stream? Time to check. You did. Oh, you had 2 copies and you needed to add other stuff?
Sure.
Okay, makes sense. But yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of going on in this deck, to be honest. There's the Reading Rainbows, who are your one of the primary AT gens. Like I would say, Fearless is not the primary AT gen. It's Reading Rainbow, and then you have so much card draw. You have so much card draw because Alluring Twitch draws you cards every time you frighten something, and Bottle Dragonfire draws you cards when you exhaust anything, and you usually exhaust things here fairly regularly. You have Phyllis to exhaust, you have Legion of Doom, you have Allura and Twitch. A lot of things happening.
Yeah. You'd have thought. Blue card being a primary card draw source.
Well, I mean, yeah. I would say primary draw source in this deck is Allura and Twitch rather than Dragonfire.
Sure.
Dragonfire is just nice to have on top. But Allura, yeah, and Allura and Twitch is pink, so allowed.
allowed. Yes.
Also, Spike is really good. Like, really, really good. Can Telelogic also isn't bad card draw? I honestly don't know. Like, the day before Continentals, I chatted with Bugle about Counterlogic, and I asked him, "Do you ever use Counterlogic for card draw?" And I think we concluded that the answer is pretty much never. But I did sometimes use Counterlogic for card draw over the course of the tournament, so the answer is not never. But I don't see it as a card draw card, to be honest. Like, it's okay, but you would rather use the move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rarely, but it can be. Sure, I would agree with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
Allure.
Yeah. Sorry. Finish your thought.
Yeah, Spike was especially annoying because it just bounces troublemakers or resources. That's the annoying part, honestly. Not bounces, it shuffles them. So essentially, a removal, a hard removal, uh, which is, pretty bad if you're playing a troublemaker control deck.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Grandpa's just mentioning that. Yeah, he closed out the Granny Smith combo with his 5 cards. Makes sense.
Yeah. Do you think that was the correct decision in retrospect? Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's
Sure.
sure, fair enough. Yeah. So I was gonna bring up the theme we said we were gonna get to of this little tricolor resource.
I think it's fine.
That somewhat exploded onto the scene in like the couple of weeks leading up to the tournament.
Yeah. So turns out moving things for free is pretty good.
Yeah, that's the part that like I really feel a bit ashamed of missing. Because like yeah, it had always been really good to move things at immediate speed.
So I remember when we did our set review, we talked about this card, and I mentioned that, like, yeah, this card is all right, but I don't know how easy it is to have free card types in the discard pile. So it turns out it's really easy, actually. It is crazy how easy it is because most decks play events, most decks play friends, and you'll have those. And then it's just how many resources or troublemakers you have. And this deck, you might notice, runs a lot of everything. So it can fuel this card quite easily. And like the opponent is probably running different stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah. Counter logic is really good. Although my take is it's actually get prepared. It's also really good, but for this deck, it's relevant. Well, it is sort of relevant, but this deck runs these 3 colors anyway.
Get
Kind
prepared
of.
is crazy. We
Yeah.
shall mention that, yes.
Like, if get prepared was not a thing, I think this deck would actually look a bit different, right? Because you can't easily play. Wow. Get prepared and Ray of Hope, both of them actually. This deck would not be able to play like Allure and Twitch and Counter Logic like willy nilly without color support, I think,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or some sort of reanimation. But mm, you don't want to reanimate Allure and Twitch. I feel like. Well, you do maybe, but it's not as
It's
good
like
as a 5
yeah, it like
cost.
it being the 3 cost window makes that harder to justify. Yeah, which admittedly is an interesting place. You should have talked about this during the set review to take the Tricorn design philosophy because when they were all 5 costs, they were all like just Reanimator support, basically.
Yeah.
So now having them be in that sort of mid window does make, yeah, a little bit more complicated, that decision.
Yeah. Granted, like Bloodstone Scepter still allows you to play stuff like Killer and Twitch, but like Ray of Hope and Get Prepared make it so much easier, without any of the drawbacks of Bloodstone Scepter.
Mm-hmm. And both of them put a thing in your discard pile.
Yes.
It's pretty important.
Well, I would say generally Ray of Hope is more relevant because events are gonna be in discard pile either way, most likely. Like events and friends, you can kind of rely on having in discard pile, so that's 2 out of the 3 types, and the rest are a little harder. Of course, it depends on what kind of decks the players play, but
Yeah. And what a meta for Somnambulous Blindfold to have rotated out of. Suddenly, it's discard pile shenanigans up and down the standings.
Hey, it's just this card. And only 3 decks ran it, so it's fine.
Not just this card, it's the Easy deck too.
Easy deck can have shenanigans.
And you, with your white Izzy.
Yeah, let white have some time. I think it's fine to have discard pile shenanigans.
It is fine. It is fine to have discard pile shenanigans.
You know, counter logic is the answer to discard pile shenanigans if you think about it, right? It banishes stuff from the discard pile.
I suppose so, yeah.
It's like Pile of Presents was supposed to be a combo disruptor, you know? This is a discard pile disruptor. Oh, and the game gets annoying when you have 2 of them in play.
Yeah.
Because now you have to think about each and every instance. Like, oh, who gets the priority when the player ends their turn and discards their hand limit? Or does anybody? Is it the turn player afterwards? Or I defeat this troublemaker, who will get the priority because the troublemaker is a new card type? It's really annoying. It's like, yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I don't like that card, and well, I do, and I hate and love this card in that sense. I love it because it teaches the rules. I hate it because it teaches the rules.
Well, it requires you to dive into the depths of the rule book.
Yes, and you have to think about each individual instance. And if you don't know it, the game slows down a lot.
Yeah.
So that is a little unfortunate. Like, I think this is the first card where priority windows matter that much, because whoever gets the effect is very much relevant here.
Right. I mean, it being a immediate speed activated ability.
I think the fact that it works across both of the discard piles is what makes it. Because now it doesn't, like, both of the players have an opportunity to, well, would want to activate this ability. If it was just your discard pile, well, first the card would be a bunch worse, but also then the priority window stuff would not matter. You would just,
Yeah, it is. It is an immediate speed activated ability that consumes a resource that is common to both players. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why it is so weird in that respect, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Really, really cool deck. Seems like the kind of deck, and I mean, GP can chime in on that I feel like he would really enjoy playing. Lots to think about. Lots going on.
Yeah. Yeah. One problem though, no pip.
Oh, well, so that's true. I was expecting you to say the problem was that it isn't very good in sudden death games.
Yeah, did not go beyond top 8, 0 out of 10. You know, whenever you build a deck, you have to build it with sudden games in mind.
Short games at least. At least somewhat.
Well, I mean, that's so. So you see, accounting for short games is the attitude of a loser, because if you're playing a short game, that means you lost a game.
That's not.
Probably,
Yeah.
unless your first game tied,
Unless your first game tied, yes.
which is
And
still not the
went a
attitude of a
full 2
winner.
hours, yeah.
Which is still not the attitude of a winner. So take the attitude of a winner and say, I will never play short games because I will always win.
Yeah, okay.
This is my motivational speech. You get to get the color now.
All right, fair enough. I guess I want white. The way things went.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Instagram, our second seed. He had a wonderful Swiss tournament again.
Yeah.
But unfortunately was out in the top 8 round. Playing Yuna Farm. I think you were fairly certain Yuna Farm was going to do pretty good, right? Or Yuna in general.
Yes, that was my take on the strongest decks, that Uniform is going to be strong.
Yeah. And it was. Certainly. I think, certainly I've concluded that Yuna is better farming than controlling. Given the way things are, certainly.
Yes. Yes, my take was that Yuna is strong, but I had more faith in Uniform than your deck, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I still had fun.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah. I mean, yeah, turns out Uniform is indeed strong. And 6-1 in Swiss. That's a score for sure.
That's dominant, yeah. With the single Swiss loss was to it's either Bugle or Pages.
I think it was Bugle. I know Bugle's losses to Minty.
Okay. All right, so then it's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. But otherwise.
And also, it makes sense that this deck would lose to Bugle, because here's my experience playing this deck. And it was on stream. For the first 20 minutes, I could not play any of the cards because I kind of over-mulliganed and it was really bad. And then I started playing some cards, and then so I was losing really bad. And then I played Counter Logic, and then I started winning really hard. Like, Instagram could not do anything about it,
Right.
because I would just not ever let him challenge a troublemaker because of Counter Logic. It's just like, oh, move home, move home, move home. And like, that's it. That single card essentially would have win me the game if the time limit was not a thing. But because of the time limit, he was so far ahead. So,
right.
Won in the end. But, I can see why this deck would lose to Bugle's deck.
It does make a lot of sense that Counter Logic hard counters farm. Yeah. At least.
This kind of farm is
This
just
kind
gets
of farm.
destroyed by Counter Logic.
Yeah.
The only answer this deck has is like Fluttershy and just have a lot of critters. Can't move them all away, but even then.
Yeah. Still not great.
But otherwise, Uniform really good, I think. I think having high flips is really, really good. It's easy to defeat troublemakers, and what's more important, I think it's really easy to defend troublemakers. Like, not a lot of decks can challenge your troublemakers, or any troublemakers for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely unlikely that somebody will steal away your points.
Yeah. This is kind of, as we had kind of said, in the world we were going to be in with no dilemmas. yeah, challenging troublemakers is and a lot less problem replacement. Yeah, challenging troublemakers is kind of the way to get them off the board, and so farm should be strong, notwithstanding hard counters that may or may not exist.
Yes. And I for one welcome Uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like playing against it, but I welcome it. I think it's fine, and I hope it will continue to be present in the meta.
I think it will. Like, I think they're, you can find some way to put resource removal in here. Actually, wait, no, there's a rampage in here already. You throw in a couple Winter Zillas too. Like, if Counter Logic is your only, you gotta get rid of that thing. You throw in as much resource removal as you can.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, keep on trucking, right?
Yeah. I mean, Winter Zillas are especially against Counter Logic. Winter Zillas are hard, I think, because presumably there are epics at both problems when Counter Logic happens. So there's not a lot of opportunity for Winter Zilla to uncover. But this deck kind of tries to mitigate that shortcoming by having Bright House. At least in my game, when I was started denying Instagram any of the troublemaker points, he just played Bright House and started scoring points through that.
Right.
He's like, oh, I pay free AT, I pay free AT, I score 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that does work, I guess.
Because like it runs Bright House, but there's no magic restored.
No other magic counters, yeah.
In this deck, well, there's like Spike, but that does not like there's no magic restored stuff at all. Not even the problems. So Bright House here is purely pay free to score points. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It actually makes sense in its own way, right? Because, like, I feel like, think about the way farming matchups tend to go, right? You're usually strong out the gate, as you saw in your deck, in your matchup. And then if you slow down, it's usually because, again, something similar to what happened in your game happened. Like, the opponent stabilized, set up some control stuff, and now you're just kind of not able to do anything. And then, like, yeah, having a way to just kind of maybe limp over the finish line a little bit with Bright House, that makes sense. I think.
Yeah.
And if it's a 0 cost, it's also a 7 flip, and, like, yeah, sure, why not? No reason not to put in there, almost.
Yeah. Although 7, like, flips don't matter as much in the Una deck.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to the next deck?
Sure. We move into the top 4 with a deck that I'm pretty sure just about 0 people were expecting.
Yeah.
This is...
Sorry, I have to BRB for a minute.
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
Okay. I can talk. Pages playing mono purple control. With Celestia main and with a whole helping of Malicorns and Unicorns. And lots of events. Lots and lots of movement. No troublemakers. How strange is that? Control deck with no troublemakers in this day and age? But it turns out that between this big pile of events 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, 20, 23, 26, more than half the deck being events, and Tempest Shadow, up at Unity 10 because it's mono purple. You're going to have a good pile of that. Pixie for your AT gens. Even Unity Twilight for AT gens. And yeah, whole heck of a lot of control. You can actually just kind of pull the opponent back. Oh. Oh, sorry, I missed what you were saying here, GP. Tweaked version of Tom's list from before Everfree. Okay, let me go look at that. Oh yeah, fair point. It is kind of the similar deck. Well, gee, I should have been paying closer attention then. Corkboard. I will win more. I suppose I can understand the logic there. Yeah, you've got so many events. You would think if there's ever going to be a deck that you can put Corkboard in, it'd be this one.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. I've been talking about the basic outline. Grandpa has pointed out that this is a modification of the deck Tom ran in the Coco, which is true, and I had totally missed that.
Interesting. Did they independently came to this deck?
No. Pages had said he tweaked it.
Ah, that's cool. Well, turns out it was a good deck. I unfortunately didn't have a chance to see it at all. Did you?
I did not. Yeah, didn't. I don't know if I even watched any of the games he played in. And I guess I could watch it on stream. No, wait. I watched like a little bit of it. I remember seeing. Yeah, I remember seeing some fairly large Celestias at some point.
Yeah, I mean, Celestia makes a lot of sense in this deck. You have Corkboard, you have a lot of events.
Yeah,
Magic
Brownout as most often a. There's actually, now that I think about it, like there's very little Magic counter stuff going on.
Yeah, it was your deck, and like that was primarily Magic counters.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some other decks that I missed, but not a lot. In top 8, none of the decks are Magic counter primary.
Yeah.
There are decks with Magic counters in theory, like Spikes and we just saw Instagram's deck, but otherwise not so much.
Little interesting, yeah.
Yeah, restricted section is a nice counter to counter logic, as GP points out. Well, ish.
Ish, right. It still gets moved home just like everything else, but you are at least benefiting from all the stuff getting banished.
Yeah. And Flurry Hearts mean resource removal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was extremely impressive how easily he was able to just kind of stack himself out a problem. Don't have to worry, like, confront stuff because there's no troublemakers, so you can just confront stuff. Flurry, I think. Make sure. Yeah, so the problems are all fairly hard to confront, so it's not trivial to do your Lustrodons, but still, like, you're gonna have enough stuff out there to be able to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, presumably you have big Celestias.
Yeah. Which actually, that's another good point to look at, is that, like, you're able to assemble a pretty beefy problem deck in just purple these days. These are all 7s, 8s, 9s.
Yeah, we got some good problems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised this deck does not run alternative solution. Oh, it's a mono deck. Duh. Of course it doesn't run alternative solution.
Yeah.
I forgot it has a not requirement. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it's simple concept in theory, but well, simple doesn't mean bad.
Purple has good cards sometimes.
Purple does.
Specifically Trixie.
Honestly, this is a deck that we both can agree on. It's got Trixie and Celestia, and they're both important.
And Celestia, yeah. You know, it's interesting that Purple has to work for its AT gen now, while Blue can play Reading Rainbow.
And Dragonfire?
And Dragonfire, yeah, like, what is this? Where's my AT gens? And we need Twilight cover to cover back. Because Blue also gets Meticulous from reading. Like, do you see a lot of Meticulous in this deck? The answer is no. There's no Meticulous in this deck.
It's true. We have come to a world where Blue has the Meticulous and the AT gens.
Well, yeah. Reading Rainbow is technically not an AT gen, but like in the ways it is better because you can get the trigger more than once per turn. Because you get one from face-offs, you could have multiple of Reading Rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, multiples is actually orthogonal to my argument. But yeah, you can put more than one. No, if you have multiples and you put both of the cards on bottom, then you get -4, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
really cool deck. Would love to see more of it. Probably will see more of it, if I dare say so. Okay, and then the other top 4 deck is Bugle's deck.
which is actually different from GP's deck. In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
It's in a lot of ways the same deck, but also in a lot of ways a very different deck.
I mean, it is Allura and Twitch, Blue Frighten Package, Counter Logic, Get Prepared and Ray Hope,
Mayonnaise,
3 Reading Rainbows.
3 instead of 2, yes.
Yeah.
But also no Tyrek, no Legion of Doom. Only 2 copies of Allura, 3 copies of Spike, and more focus on purple, I would say. Because now you have Let's Make Our Mark Together, which is a value positive card, always. And you have Zips and 1 copy of Flurry Heart.
Yeah.
And a dilemma. This is the first dilemma we see this entire tournament.
And I think, let me just look again. I think it's a much more aggressive problem deck as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have the... I don't know if GP runs Double Agent Gambit, but I didn't think so. Maybe it does, actually. No. And like that problem is fairly aggro, although you could use Magic Restored on the Spike. Or Allura.
Mm-hmm.
But in all of my games, Magic Restored was used on the problem itself to increase the bonus, because the idea is to go aggro, because this deck is more mid-range. You're trying to... You use Spike aggressively here. I mean, you will still use it to remove a Troublemaker or resource from play, but the scent part is really, really good to do immediate movement shenanigans between problems. Then you have Lunch Breaks.
Everyone's favorite Continental's card.
Yeah. But it is played fairly this time. Wow. Reading Rainbow usually brings the cost down to 1, but generally
You only
it
get
is
one instance out of it. That's what makes it fair.
right.
Yeah.
Unless they play 2 of them.
Yeah. Shh.
Which did happen in my game.
Mm-hmm.
Beagle played 2 of them. And then conceded shortly afterwards.
Yes. Yeah, blue and purple have a lot of shenanigans between them. Between the amount of AT gain, um, as kind of mentioned, the fact that blue's got the Meticulous now. Although, admittedly, there are both blue and purple Meticulous cards in this deck.
True, there's Zip with Meticulous too, which is really good.
Yep.
It's even better with Reading Rainbow. Yeah, so I think GP's deck was a lot in the card draw because of Dragonfire and Allure Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
This deck is still like a lot in the card draw, but a little less, I would say. It's more on scoping stuff out, either through Meticulous, because there's more Meticulous and way more Meticulous in this deck. And also, Let's Make a Mark Together is essentially a little Selena Blue that you play. You look at you draw 3 cards and then you put 2 on top.
Yeah. No, I get that. You put it that way, makes a card look insane. And it kind of is.
Which one? Let's Make a Mark Together?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's decent.
The effect of a Selena Blue that also gains you an AT?
Well, one time only, unlike Selena Blue, who
Sure.
was unbeatable.
Sure. Still. Pretty good.
Selena Blue was such a good card. Wow.
Bugle was like he was the top seed through Swiss, right?
Yes, he was seed 1, yeah.
Yeah.
His only loss was against Minty.
Yes, that's right. Which
I don't remember what exactly happened. I just remember it was a memorable game for Bugle and Minty.
hmm.
So something happened between them, but I don't remember what. I forgot. I forgot.
Yeah, didn't see it either myself. Bit of a shame that. But yeah, then he was against Ponka in top 8, and he got through that, and then he played you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a close game.
It was a very close game. We did not have a short game or sudden death this time, but we did have a short kind of game.
Right,
where
time restricted.
Yeah, it was a 1-1. We had like 5 minutes remaining. So we scrambled our sideboards. That was the only time I saw Misty being played against me because, 2 for 2 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this deck is favored in the aggro match against mine. But I somehow won anyway.
Sometimes, yeah, the cards fell well for you. But yeah, another really cool deck. I think it's the deck I was most afraid of. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say it's the deck I was expecting to win going into the tournament.
Yeah. It would actually be very interesting. Like, if I lost against Bugle, then he would play Minty, and I think that would be interesting.
That would have been interesting, yeah.
Alas, we don't live in that world.
Oh, I'm sure you're so sad about it.
I'm very sad about it. I mean, Bugle lost against Minty before, so,
Yeah, yeah. No, it would have been exciting, for sure. Probably more exciting than the white versus white match.
Yeah. Speaking of white versus white.
Speaking of white versus white, let's get on. So, Minty first. In second
So
place.
mono white and top 2.
Yeah,
Is white back?
I think it's got to be, right?
Is white actually back?
So, Chrysalis is very, very good in a slow metagame. That much I think is pretty just clear, right?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So given that the metagame seems slow, in that sense, Chrysalis is well poised. White is well poised to be good. Yes.
I will stand by the fact that the problem makes this deck so much better.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Without the problem, even in the slow meta, it'd be much harder for this deck to stand higher.
Oh, definitely. Yes. 100%. Without that problem, finding your magic. Yeah. Chrysalis would not be anywhere close to where she is. Well, I don't know about anywhere close, but definitely it helps a great deal.
It enables this deck in many ways, I think, and I mean also all of the push that white got on the set, and it got a lot of push, certainly helps a lot, and I think this is why we see the result with both of the top decks being white. I still don't think that white is a particularly good color. Like it is pretty good, but I don't think it's like meta breakingly good, even though it got a lot of push. And then even though that maybe someone will call me out like, hey, top 2 decks are white. What are you talking about? But I don't know. But yeah, we have Pip, the small Pip, which is an amazing card, one of the best white cards right now. We have Easy, also an amazing card, also one of the best white cards right now. I have Posey, which is our new point acceleration. She is pretty good. I think the best part about Posey is that she's not unique. And Zero Bars is also a great board wipe.
Yeah, I was.
I mean, ish.
Sorry.
It's a board wipe ish. You have to work for it, but if played at the right moment, it can be devastating.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking, looking at the new generation white cards in here, a lot of them are cards with, like, really, really heavy game impact. They're incredibly good cards on their own.
Yes. Value-wise, each one of these cards is really, really good. It's not like, oh, it's good in some situations. Like, every single one of these cards are really, really good. It's just, that's what I mean by pushed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Easy is an amazing recursion card. Maybe not as good as Mistmane, but I think it comes close-ish to Mistmane. Like, the only thing it doesn't do is does not do it forever and does not score you points, which is, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but otherwise, Easy is like, it gives you enough recursion generally. It is, for cost, is quite hefty. It's better recursion than Mistmane? Yeah, probably.
It's better at recursion, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a worse win con. It's better recursion. Yeah. In that it's not a win con at all.
Also depends on what you're trying to recurse.
Sure.
And it's not infinitely repeatable unlike Mistmane, so there's that too. But I think infinite repetition does not really matter. Like even in the slow meta, like I think Easy is enough.
Yeah. Well, like even Mistmane was only infinitely repeatable so long as you were recurring the Mistmanes, right? It's not actual.
No, you could.
Oh, that's true. It's true. Right? Yeah. Sorry.
She gets herself back from the discard pile.
It was really expensive if you were going to do it that way. But yeah,
this card is very expensive too, and does not score you points.
I guess I was going to say, or I should have said, like nobody actually used Mistmane that way.
I disagree. Mistmane was used plenty of times that way. Like it's only 2 AT to get her back, so you're paying 5 AT to score a point and get something back, essentially.
Okay.
Like it was, I've seen that secondary part of her used a bunch of times.
Okay.
But either way, yeah, Easy is an amazing card. Pip is an amazing card. So Pip is actually, I think, a lot of the times a more well, it's a silent and not like Easy is a flashy card because you play her, some event gets replayed, or you get a copy of an amazing friend like Pip, or something like that, and you still have that thing in your hand, or you get copy of Counter Logic. That's fun too. And Pip, she is like very small. She costs 180. I had to make a pause there. She costs 180. Her effect is spoons, but better,
Mm-hmm.
But her impact is not immediate, is what I'm thinking, right? But her impact is still very, very big. Because for most of the decks, all of their cards are taxed +1. 90% of their cards are taxed +1,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big, big tax. And especially against aggro decks, sometimes that it essentially doubles the cost of a card, right? Or like from 2 to 3 AT is still a huge jump.
Yep. 50%. Yes.
Yeah. And it costs you almost nothing to get her into play. Just 1 AT is barely an investment for an effect like this. Also, she has Shoei, which actually has been relevant once.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
Shoei is sometimes relevant, somehow. But Pip didn't have to have Shoei to be good. I think if she didn't have Shoei, it would not change a thing about the card. But it's nice that it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. So between all that, between the usual, I don't want to say usual, but I think white decks are kind of incomplete without a stack of prepared unicorns these days. You have them from various sources.
Yeah.
Good supply of troublemakers. As you say, Posey is there to be our troublemaker deck win condition again. Isn't it great to have another one of those?
Yeah. Yeah, Posey is less like Mistmain and more like photo finish.
Much, yeah.
Except for the finish is confronting, which was usually achieved through playing troublemakers and Posey. So they're very similar cards.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And hey, I like the world where we had photo finish. I think
Yeah.
I agree. Posey's great.
I liked photo finish world more than I liked Mistmain world.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take. Maybe not so hot.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think you're in a friendly room to make that kind of a statement.
And I'm so happy Troublemaker Control is back.
Dare we say we are back?
We're so back.
Yeah. I guess, speaking of, perhaps that's a good time to talk about your deck.
But my deck doesn't have We're Back.
Right.
Yeah, my deck. My deck actually did have We're Back in its original iteration. Well, original iteration as in the deck that I brought to Everfree before I changed it the day before Continentals. So yeah, this list is very, very similar to what I played at HIFCON. It's a Pip list. It's a pink, white, because I think pink is the best color with Pip. And like I stated this before, I think the reason this deck won is Counter Logic. And I was thinking of including Counter Logic before I built the deck. And I decided, like, nah, I should just do like the plain thing. And then I thought about it more. And then the day before the Continentals, I chatted with Bugle a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, I will add Counter Logic. It's so easy to add because I'm already running Ray of Hopes. I just need to find some space for Get Prepared, make some cuts, and like it will most likely be worth it. And it was. I think that's the reason the deck scored as high as it did. It's because of Counter Logic. That card is crazy, and it's crazy how easy it was to splash into it. Like this deck does not run a lot of pink, and it does not run any of the other colors. So
Yeah,
yeah,
as we talked after the tournament and such, I'm pretty sure my deck should have run Counter Logic. Like it seems it's I mean yeah, not everybody can do it, but like it seems pretty easy to go for it.
yeah. You just need so. A lot of people run Ray of Hopes because Ray of Hope is a good card, but also it's like we actually don't have that much entry options right now. Uh, so like you kind of play Ray of Hope, Rush Makeovers usually, and Ray of Hope is amazing. And then Get Prepared is amazing if you can utilize it like that. So like you all essentially what I'm saying that the entry options are strong and like you are already running those entry options probably. So it pretty much doesn't cost you much to splash into Counter Logic. You just put that in. Like the cost is the slots for Counter Logic. That's it. You don't have to really think about anything else.
Yep.
So yeah. But yeah, another interesting thing about my deck is, at least my takeaway on it is, I so Pip, as I said before, is not a control main. She's a mid-range main. I still stand by that. I still think she's a mid-range main. And I genuinely believe that this deck would have been, on average, better with Chrysalis as a main instead of Pip. You know? On average, it would perform better. However, I think the only reason that, well, other than counter logic, the second reason it won is because of Pip, because Pip kind of counters the Allura deck.
Sure.
Because they have spikes and they have a bunch of like other friends. And if I get them, like getting a spike is amazing.
Yes.
They have a lot of impactful friends, and stealing them is really, really good, especially Spike. Spike is just incredible. And this deck has a reasonable chance of forcing a situation where the opponent would retire Spike or some other card. That was a filthy move. Hey, you're not the only one who I pulled it off against.
It's true. Yeah, he got it off on Bugle too.
Yeah, in my Bugle game, that's why he well, that's not why he conceded, but the play was like this. He sets up for a huge double face-off. And I'm just sitting there waiting for it with 2 0 bars in hand. and I could have disrupted his face-off, but I figured, like, why would I? If he plays lunch breaks, he played one at that point, and does a double face-off to do another one afterwards, he will not have anything on his board because I just play double 0 bars, and then he retires a spike, and his life is very sad. And that's kind of what happened. And after that happened, I played counter logic, and he conceded. It was incredible. It was so good. But yes, Pip is really good against decks that have really impactful friends, uh, that are like generally have useful abilities in them. You know.
Which sounds a lot like a control meta. Right? Relatively small number of friends, all very impactful.
Yeah. Oh, the Bugle one that you're referring to. Sure. But I remember stealing a spike from you too, and that was also really good. Although that might have been through Spraticus. Because Spraticus is also a really good card, it turns out. If played at the right moment, it can be completely devastating too.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these cards, like 0 bars and Spartacus, are both very situational, but when the situation is right, they're really, really good. And with 0 bars, you can kind of force the situation in by getting their friends home. With Spartacus, they just need to overcommit into a board. And Summoning Bell, who doesn't love unicorn tokens?
As I
A
said,
lot of the time, I was just put a Troublemaker, play Summoning Bell, and then sit at the problem forever. Dare they challenge the Troublemaker?
yep. Yeah, I mean, the summoning bell is just such a. I don't know.
It is an AT gen.
Yeah. I was gonna.
Exhaust
It's
you
not
get
really
in
like a
one AT.
weird card to play against, but it's like. you get like 2 or 3 unicorns, and it's possible that players are a little bit too afraid of prepared unicorns, right? It's possible people are remembering the world of 10, 15, 20, or whatever.
Well, I mean, if they don't deal with Summoning Bell, they don't have to remember that world.
Yeah.
They'll be experiencing it.
Fair enough, right? Like, you know,
I think giving, like, if your opponent has 2 unicorns behind the Troublemaker, then, I think it's a strong consideration whether you want to challenge it or not.
right? Yeah.
Because 2 ET is a lot of ET, and any further than that, it gets even more ridiculous. So, I actually don't know. I think Summoning Bell might be too strong of a card for a Troublemaker control mana. Because it just gives so many resources for, well, in a meta where people are forced to challenge troublemakers instead of avoiding them.
Right.
So if there's anything I wanted to change about that, it would not give options to avoid troublemakers, is to give less stuff like prepared, where your opponent just gets resources for you doing so.
Right.
Maybe prepared would have been as a keyword more fair or unicorns, if they gave you AT if you won the face off. I don't know.
I mean, that's very close to Studious, though.
Well, it's Studios. You know how Meticulous and Inspired are kind of the same thing, but the opposite? The same could be Prepared and Studious, Anyway, that was a tangent on Prepared.
Sure.
Unicorns.
Sure.
That's not even why this deck did anything. It's only a partial reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
we played in Swiss. I spent all my time chasing after. We did. It was the 6th round.
I don't remember, but sure, if you say so.
Yes. I spent a lot of time chasing after Cantalogic Factory. Which was oh no, yeah, I remember I was forced to retire my own treehouse against because it had the same traits as Cantalogic Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
great.
Because I think bad play.
I think you did it I think I either played one afterwards or got it back with easy or something. Essentially, I didn't care much that you removed it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
This deck is really fun to play.
I believe you. Oh, that was the other thing that happened. I ended up. Yeah, you. You had to. You ended up playing a Pharynx, and it got a -1 power counter and then went over to my side. That was the
Plurite.
other. Plurite, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Plurite got -1 power counter, and then you got it. So now you had a 1/1 Plurite.
Yeah.
And I think you needed Pink Wreck, but
I did.
Plurite was not enough.
Pink Wreck, but 1 wasn't enough. Yeah. Oh.
Plurite is an amazing card in this deck. Because if they retire it, you just exhaust Pip and get it back, and then give them your opponent is incentivized to not retire it, or well, if they retire it, they force you to spend 1 AT, but it doesn't do much in the end, essentially. Which is yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Congratulations.
Woo, pip pip hooray.
Absolutely. Good luck defending your title next year.
No, I did that's it. I'm retiring. See, my intention was to only get Pip into the top 8, and after that it didn't matter what happens. Because I could just say, oh, Pip was in the top 8, hooray. And then I won, and And like I did want to win for a while, but not because I want the title. It's because I want to create a card. We're gonna get a Trixie main. Well, we did split the prize with Minty, so we're gonna get a Star Trix main, but that's good enough for me.
Pretty good. Pretty good, yeah. Can't wait for it.
Well, I have no details on what the card will be other than it's a Trixie main.
Sure.
And it's purple because Star Treks have to be purple.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I guess you mentioned we don't have good control mains in purple.
Exactly.
Don't have good aggro mains in purple either, though.
No. If you want an aggro purple main, you gotta win.
I see.
That's what I've been told with Trixie. If you want the Trixie main, you have to go win Continentals, they said. So now we're getting a Trixie
Now
main.
we're getting a Trixie main. I guess so. All right. Well, that is the end of the decks. We did have a Naylander event as well. Continentals.
I think we have decks for it.
We do.
Do we?
Oh, wait.
Not in the post.
Not all of them. Oh, that's right. Ara sent me some of them, but we don't have the full list, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Also had crazy amounts of people in sealed.
We did, wasn't it?
It was like 20 people. It was more than Continentals, I think.
Could have been.
Which, I mean, it kind of makes me a little sad because this sealed was kind of meh because it was like Crystal Games, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it was funny to run Crystal Games, but it was not actually. It was funny, but not fun, I would say, you know?
Sure.
And since there were like a bunch of people who were like new or like, you know, not regular players there, I think it would be greater if we played an actual fun sealed, you know?
Sure.
That's my not disappointment per se, but like, what's the word? When it would be nice if we knew, like in retrospect,
Yeah.
if we knew there's gonna be so many players, I would probably push for a funner sealed event.
I mean, hindsight, I guess, kind of. Yeah.
Hindsight, yeah.
Yeah. In some respects, you could say it was even more of a return to the past. Old sets and also high attendance.
Ah, so that's the reason we had high attendance, right?
I guess.
So that's the yeah. So from now on, all sealed events are Crystal Games.
I'm sure everyone will appreciate that. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, we're off our usual schedule because I was out last week. We're gonna have to see how things go going forward from here. As I kind of mentioned, I'm gonna say it again. This year we're not gonna have invitationals in the fall. It's gonna be spring of next year. So we'll have to think of some stuff to do for these next few months before Ciderfest, which is going to be in like November usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the very beginning of November.
Right.
Like November 1st.
Right. Okay. But otherwise, thanks everybody who came to Everfree and played. It was wonderful games. We both had a lot of fun. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming out to see this stream, for giving us your comments, your chat. Pay attention to the Discord. We'll let you know when the next one's going to be. Until then, congratulations, Hithroc. Thank you, Grandpaws. Say it again. And I've been Cursor Coach.
I've been Hithroc.
See you soon.
Bye.